Don't forget that the actual Georgiou is dead because of you. Don't forget that.
Yep, don't forget that.
Don't.
The good Georgiou, the one, not from the mirror universe.
Yeah.
Maybe we could call her up. Oh, no, we can't. Hail, Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. We are here talking about Star Trek Discovery, Season 3, Episode 3, People of Earth. Bum, bum, bum. We begin the episode with a bit of exposition. It's Burnham giving a personal log.
Yes.
Interestingly in that, what I got out of that was that the dilithium supplies dried up before the burn. That was interesting. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. So the supplies started drying up. Then there was the burn, and they showed all these ships blowing up simultaneously.
Right. Yes,
so it wasn't like over the course of 3 days. It was boop.
So it wasn't like, somebody's ship exploded. Should we do something? No.
Nope.
Everything by the same time.
Full speed ahead. Yeah, no, yeah.
All over the galaxy.
And that caused the Federation to disappear overnight. We'll talk more about that, but I would say that has all the hallmarks of an attack. But okay, anyway, so.
I would disagree.
You would disagree? Okay.
I would.
We end with Tilly and the bridge crew getting an extra 5 minutes to hang out by the tree that they used to study under that's still around in San Francisco. I would note that the Golden Gate Bridge also still exists. But okay. So they have something that bridges the gap between the time when they're used to and where their families are and what they are now considering current day. And there's pullback and credits. Mr. Bunton, what did you think of this episode?
I enjoyed it while I was watching it. Afterwards, though, I was having second thoughts about it.
Okay, in what way?
I kind of felt like they're dispensing of a lot of things. I feel like they're kind of rushing in a way.
Okay.
It's possible they just wanted to get to the point where it's like, okay, Burnham's back on the ship and the ship is going to its adventures. But this episode especially, with what they experienced with Earth, I felt was resolved far too quickly and was explained, rather cursorily. So that was dissatisfying to me. I think they could have taken an extra episode with the first episode and maybe even had some of the things that were just in the montage. I think they wanted to shorthand their way to Book and Michael having a relationship, and I would have felt better if they given themselves more time. They introduced a whole new character. There's just a lot.
Yeah, you're right. There was the plot was pushing along very quickly. As far as Michael and Book's relationship, in many ways they act like a married couple.
Yeah. Except that they're hesitant to put a title on it.
Right, and the intimacy is not there per se. So what is holding them back from committing to each other? Is it the fact that is it possibly that Burnham is still loyal to Ash? Is that a thing? Maybe.
No, I don't think so. I think it might more be one, her needing to get in touch with her crew, and she's driven to try to. She said she's very much determined to try to right the wrong that has been. So I think that's and Book has his own mission that he mentioned and they're talking about whatever. So
and he does leave at the end of this episode.
Yes, he does leave, but
he's going to come back. But.
So I feel like that may be that they haven't figured out a way. For all the talk of I'm different. Oh, I'm so different. Oh, I'm just different.
Again, 1 year, but okay. I'm done with that. A year can change people. I get it.
It doesn't seem like it. You're done with it, but okay.
Completely done. Never bring it up again.
What do you? Anyway,
seem like you. 1 year. 363 days. It wasn't even a year.
Part of it was to not challenge Saru for the captaincy. But I think they're trying to redefine her character, which is fine. But for all that, then she just did number 2 at the end of it. Or no, number 1.
Number 1.
So
I think what they were playing with the notion, because there's a conversation that Burnham has with Tilly, and I think it comes up another time as well, this idea that, I think she even says it in her opening exposition, that she has like trying to let go of the past. And I get the notion what they were trying to suggest is that she's kind of enjoying her life with Book, and it's almost like Discovery returning is almost unwelcome in a way. Like she's like, "Oh, my life, okay."
That's not the impression that I got.
I mean, I get it. She's still looking for the ship and everything. It's complicated, I guess. But I felt like they were trying to throw in the idea that, like, I'm not that person anymore.
I think they want just to have her continue to question exactly what she's doing. If she's doing what she wants to do, even though taking that commission strongly suggests that she accepts it. But then that's what she says, right? Like, I'm still figuring things out. And right. Saru's like, okay, you can figure stuff out. And she's like, okay, good, then I'll be your second in command. So I don't think it's like her in terms of her saying like, oh, I don't know if I wanted you guys back. It's more that she just doesn't know how she fits in.
All right. I just feel like they're throwing out this notion of like, well, she could go off with Book, and I mean, we all know that's not going to happen. I mean, I don't know. I suppose if it does happen, I'd be shocked and I'd be like, wow, well done, show. But
right. Well, I think what they wanted to make a big point. Well, I don't think she was saying that. I mean, I think it was sort of like you could come with us, and he was like, no, I can't. I've got my own thing going on. And he may have said you can come with me, but that's just not something that she would consider. It's just not.
Yeah. No, it's kind of like back in the Next Generation when Riker would occasionally get like, hey, you can get command your own ship. He knew he was never going to leave the ship. Goodbye. He's staying. So anyway.
They're definitely putting her in the tradition of, it's funny. That was never a question for Spock, the people watching it. Like, why doesn't he have his own command? Because they were perfectly fine with him being, the most interesting character on that show. I don't think anybody thought that about Chakotay. So I feel like it's really just a Riker thing that they're just falling into.
Just a Riker thing.
It's like when they have somebody.
Which, by the way, he directed this episode.
Yes, that's true. That's very true. Jonathan Frakes. Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to say, and the fact that she's still the star of the show and not the captain. They're basically, I think, just trying to explain that. Because you couldn't even say that about the Next Generation. You can say that about no other series, that the captain is not the star of the show. But yeah, in this case, Michael Burnham is the star of it, and she's not the captain.
Right, and if anybody deserves to be the captain it's Saru. I mean, Saru is certainly the right choice.
Yes,
and I think he makes a very good captain. How he walks around in those platforms.
Yes.
I don't know, that's Kelpian magic. But
yes.
Anyway,
that's qualification enough.
It did occur to me when Burnham was talking to Saru about I'm going through changes like you were talking about, and he's like, look, I'll just give you all the time to change. I mean, in my mind, I kind of wanted him to say, oh, are you changing from the mutineer who got our captain killed? That'll be good. I appreciate that. Remember that? Remember when I had to have you court-martialed?
You're a cruel man.
Don't be that person.
You're a cruel man. Don't forget that the actual Georgiou is dead because of you. Don't forget that.
Yep, don't forget that.
Don't.
the good Georgiou, the one, not from the mirror universe. We could call her up. Oh, no, we can't because you got her killed. Oh, now this was interesting. She mentions to Saru that during her time as a courier, where she was trying to get research, she communicated with Terra Elysium.
Yes.
And they had never heard of her mother.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's some kind of timeline thing but it shouldn't be.
I hope it's not a timeline thing. Here's what it might be, because she also throws in there like, oh, it took months to get a response back.
Yeah.
Are they lying?
Oh.
Like, does she know who she's talking to? Could it be that her?
I feel like that's
is
more
getting intercepted?
an example of how bad communication is in this present time.
Sure. I'm just saying.
I mean, yes, that's.
Can she rely on this evidence
for something that seems so important? It seemed to be tossed off rather
right
carelessly.
They have never heard of her mom.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like what? Okay. Even if her mom had decided to do something different in the interim, they still would have heard of her or at some point. So it suggests something very, very wrong. I don't know. Anyway, out there in comments,
I mean, I can't remember that well what the situation was with her in Terra Elysium. So,
Yeah, I agreed. I'm a little hazy as well, but I thought that was the whole reason for her coming through is like joining.
Right, but what I mean to say is, since we know so little about it, I mean, I don't know. I'm reluctant to say that it's what when it really might be something minor, and maybe it is. But if that's the case, then I'd be very afraid that they're taking on too much.
My going theory is the people she was communicating with had reason to pretend they had never heard of her.
Okay.
Just to like, nope, I know what you're talking about. No reason for you to show up here. Goodbye.
Yeah, right. And I can't remember anything about that. So it's sort of like we're talking about Earth here, and so do you know of this one person who, maybe she should have been known because she had a special flying suit that was red, but it's like I can't remember much about that.
I got you.
About the planet.
You're saying maybe she was just anonymous. Who? I don't know.
Yeah. Or who knows? I guess they should know. Otherwise, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Definitely, he's coming back around. That's a plot point. That's
probably, yeah. I mean, because presumably, yeah, because she's got there's still some threads that she's got to tie up. So.
Yep. We find out the burn not only knocked out all these ships, but it killed millions of people. I mean,
yes.
When you see ships blowing up,
you kind of figure.
But they were all empty. They don't use people on these ships anymore.
It's like, what? Oh, they tricked us all into leaving our ships. Oh, and then they blew up.
And then they blew them up. Now we're stuck drifting in space.
Why couldn't we have seen that?
We find out that Earth. You brought up the idea that perhaps Burnham has not been to Earth in this year, and you were correct. Earth is apparently too far for her, but not for the spore drive.
That's right.
So now that they're back on the ship with the spore drive, zip, 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 zip. I didn't notice this.
I guess any ship that had dilithium and could go would, I guess, exhaust the dilithium in the time that it would take to get there, I guess. It didn't seem like, I guess people had excesses of dilithium, so they didn't have to stop for gas, during most trips.
Right, there's the Texaco. You're like, One thing I did notice was, books like, oh, you didn't tell me about the spin, and he also he knows the crew. At some point, he's like, oh, where's so and so and so and so, and you get the idea that Burnham has told him all about her life on the ship in the past. Like he seems to be very well aware of what Discovery's all about.
Well, they had a year. So.
Yeah. Well, I thought there was a part of me thinking, because I'm cynical. I was like, is he? Especially when they put all the dilithium on his ship, I was like, is he just about to exploit this situation? And I know your security protocols. Pew! Whatever. No, he doesn't do that.
No.
He might have. He could have. He did. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So they go to Earth because Burnham has this 12-year-old message that is from this admiral, Starfleet Admiral Senatol, or originating from Earth. And it's like, hey, I'll wait here. Hopefully, if you still are out there, come find me. So they go to find Senatol. But they find that Earth is a bunch of jerks.
Yes.
Now.
Yes.
So they arrive. Oh, they also with her time as a courier, she kind of realizes the lay of the land. She's like, if we just show up, it'll be bad. Let's disguise the fact that we have dilithium. Let's put all the dilithium in Book's ship. So,
yes.
Kind of like ship within a ship. So hopefully they can't see it.
Sure.
Yes. Saru's not a big fan of that plan because he's cynical like me.
Well, Saru isn't even aware that. Well, no, yeah, he's skeptical of that plan to put it on the ship. Yeah. Yes, he is.
But he relents. He's like, all right, he can't get in the ship during his time here. It's going to be under 24-hour guard. He makes sense. He doesn't. I don't want my dilithium taken off.
Yeah.
With this guy that you've been hanging out with.
It just is crazy that it just happens to be ready to for this plan.
Yeah, exactly. It was certainly a plot device. You're like, wait, how do we? Oh, look. Oh, perfect. Earth. They're no longer the Federation. They're not connected to Starfleet. They are the Earth United Defense Force, I think is what it was.
Yes.
Or United Earth Defense Force. They're like, we can handle ourselves, basically. When the burn happened, they were worried it was an attack. And so they thought, you know what? Just because Starfleet will probably be a target if that's the case, let's just push Starfleet. We don't have a headquarters here. I know what you're talking about. So they pretty much bailed on Starfleet out of fear that they'd be attacked. And so, not really
like it's technically the Federation, but yes, you're right.
They are worried about this character. We find out it's a dude in a helmet named Wen.
Yes.
Who is going around stealing people's dilithium and is a pirate, essentially. Right? He's like a raider.
Yeah.
We find out that it is a bunch of humans who were on Titan.
Yes.
And they were supposedly self-sufficient, but they had an accident. And when they came to Earth to try to get supplies, Earth shot down their ships.
Yeah.
And so they started a war. And this felt very Trekkie in that they're like, look, let's all sit down and talk. And so they did that, two warring sides have diplomacy.
Yes.
And so, in that way, it felt very Trekkish.
Sure.
To have them settle their agreements without shooting at each other.
Yeah.
And that's a mark for the Federation now. Like, that's a plus. We can add that to the things we've done lately column.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that that's just one of the things that I thought was wrapped up too neatly. Like, you need this help that we apparently don't have a problem giving you? Oh, and you'll accept that help? Oh.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very quick, agreed. But maybe that's also kind of Star Trek-y in some ways. They wrap this up by the end of the episode.
But it's sort of like the difference between how Battlestar Galactica dealt with their premise, and at least in the first iteration and the second iteration, where it's sort of like, if these events happened, let's try to treat that seriously, or these,
Right, this has repercussions.
Yes.
Yeah.
But and so that's a reason why I was disappointed in it. Even though at the time it was fun to see everything that was happening, but it's sort of like make the world complex. You still have one person, it's still president of the world, who can make decisions for the whole world.
And she's actually on the away team. She's actually on the ship. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. They could have kidnapped two people. I mean, you better resolve this, or we're not going to let you back to your people.
So a new character is introduced in that way. One of the inspection forces that comes up is Adira. Adira, very intelligent and inquisitive, and actually sabotages the personal transporters to give more time to inspect the spore drive.
A very benign sabotage, but yes.
Yeah, right. Not like a but more like a I'll have more time to inspect things.
Yes.
Adira is being played by a non-binary actor, and that seems fitting because we find out at the end of the episode that Adira is actually a host for a Trill symbiont. And Trill symbionts are somewhat non-binary as well. They have memories of their hosts. I believe the only Trill that I'm familiar with is the Dax from DS9.
But technically,
favorite show.
Right. Well, yes, and that's a situation where there were two actresses that played host to the Trill, that are the host to the symbiote. That is, there was Jadzia Dax and there was Ezri Dax.
Okay, so you tell me, how did that resolve itself? At the end of Deep Space Nine, what was the state of the symbiote? Did the symbiote survive that series?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the actress, Terry Farrell, I believe her name is, who was portraying Jadzia Dax, had a disagreement with the makers of Star Trek in terms of how much she get paid or whatever. And so they wrote her out of the series. And so her character died off screen. And the symbiote was given to Ezri, who I guess was not ready yet, or she, it was sort of like, I think it was
some
more
plot thing.
Yeah, some plot thing where it's like, okay, now you're going to get this symbiote, so it doesn't die, I guess. And so she was its host. I
guess my ultimate question is it possible this symbiont is that symbiote?
No.
Okay.
No, because it would be Dax. And it's not. It's possible
in other words,
that
it's Dax possible that passed away and they passed it on to someone else?
No. Dax is the name of the symbiote. And
okay. I always thought Dax was the name of the person. Okay.
No. Dax is the symbiote, and so that's why it's Jadzia Dax, gotcha. Ezri Dax. They're not related in any way. So they're the host, and so once they take that on, then it becomes their name. It's like a married name or something. Okay. So the Dax is the part that would continue. So it would be, Buster Dax or,
So okay. So in this case, Senatal, being this admiral that was once the previous host, does that mean perhaps that this symbiote's name is Tal? Is that what we're suggesting? I mean, if you use that logic,
it might be Adira Tal,
for instance. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know that, but okay.
Right.
But so Adira could be perhaps the first human host, right?
I feel as if they might have discussed human hosts for Dax's on a previous episode. That's where they're going the next episode
Right, looks that way. The trailer.
One of the things about Deep Space Nine is it was revealed that it didn't need to be this grand process to find who would be the best host or whatever. It wasn't only certain families. It was actually like a lot of people could get it. So there was a question of there's not enough
kind of
to go around.
It's
not enough to go around. So it's like So it'll be interesting to see how that maybe they'll end up reunifying with.
Now, it appears that Adira, despite knowing something about the previous host, does not have all of Senatal's memories at the moment.
Yeah,
they're trying to access those memories. Well, that's what happened to Starfleet.
Well, I mean, perhaps. I mean, we don't know, right? One of the things I felt like they didn't handle that well of explaining is it a dual consciousness thing, or is the symbiote just like a hard drive full of memories?
Right.
You know, is it like now I'm sharing consciousness with this entity, or now I'm sharing consciousness with that?
What was it like in DS9? I mean, my memory of that was it felt like not only the memories but also the feelings and emotions of previous hosts.
Right.
Were in so.
Well, yeah, but it still was unclear to me anyway. Watching Deep Space Nine, it's like if it's just a hard drive of emotions and thoughts. I mean, you could feel as if, these are my emotions and thoughts, even though I haven't experienced them.
I see what you mean.
But it feels
like
like
carrying your own little personal computer around with you or something. But you're still yourself. I see what you're saying.
Right. So the actual experience of what that would be like, to me, is still, it's like that to me speaks to how poorly they've defined it, because you have to explain what consciousness is. We don't have an example of this that I'm aware of. Not to that extent, certainly, with a conscious mind be able to obtain something else's memories. Anyway, so hopefully they'll explain it more so that it makes more sense. But yeah.
By the way, I noticed they dropped the sphere data reference. That's
yeah.
We know about Trills because of the sphere data we got.
Yeah.
That's from the last season. They downloaded all this infinite amount of data
Right.
from the sphere.
Right.
And so now they've got pretty much any plot they need to. If they need background on something, they've got it. They're like, oh, the sphere. The sphere data gave us the thing with the true.
Well, it's one of those things. I guess they didn't disseminate that information with the rest of Starfleet because in the original series there wasn't any record of the Trill, and it was only Next Generation that were introduced to the Trill. And apparently, if I'm hearing from someone else, the Vulcan Hello podcast, that it wasn't until Deep Space Nine that you saw that they were a symbiote race. So you met the Trills in Next Generation, but it wasn't until Deep Space Nine that you learned that they were a symbiote race.
Sphere knew all, and now so does Discovery. Are we seeing then a plot line play out where the spore drive is going to be the replacement for dilithium? Is that kind of what we're saying? Like, they were always just, remember the big argument was like, you introduced the spore drive back too early, but now they're far enough out in the future where, hey, you know what? The spore drive is the new warp drive.
Yeah, I don't know, right? Because remember I was saying that a possibility was how the Romulans deal with theirs with the collapsed star thing. That could still be a possibility. Maybe it'll be spread around. One thing that occurred to me was that back in the time of before the original series, where the Star Trek Discovery begins, they have to create a human interface with Paul Stamets, so he can navigate, right? So in the time between then and now, maybe computers are better. You know, maybe you could have a computer do that. Maybe you don't have to hook a guy up to it.
He showed his arm. The other thing that, I mean, it's been a while, so they probably fixed this, but wasn't a huge plot problem that the more you use the thing, the more you destroy this mycelial network, and that's why they weren't going to use it so much anymore? Like because they jumped a whole bunch of times back in season 1. They're like, oh, you screwed up you're killing the mycelial network.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they certainly talked about maybe, or they decided they weren't going to use it as much. I don't remember.
Right, but I'm just saying,
it's probably worth going back to see exactly what they said.
If you introduce it as the new form of space travel, you obviously are going to up the usage. So maybe that would be a problem. But,
maybe they'll have some sort of carbon buyback plan. So, you know, it's like, you can use ours, and we'll just go by regular warp 1.
What we'll do is you'll get where you want to go. Then we'll use the suit, the Red Angel suit, to time travel you back. But you'll stay where you are. So in a sense, you never touch the network. I don't know.
I mean, I didn't really care for how Stamets was sort of like, aren't you adorable? You running around changing things on our ship. Oh, aren't you cute?
And let me tell you all about our secrets. He does say at one point, I'm not going to tell you anymore until you talk about me. But he'd already said quite a bit.
Yeah. He said all this stuff, and it was sort of like, you know, the fact that this character's supposed to be 15 is kind of annoying. We'll see.
I agree that if it was just like a 15-year-old kid, it would be like, no. It's like Tilly magnified. But I can accept a 15-year-old frame around a centuries-old consciousness, perhaps. Anyway.
I guess, I mean, it'll be a question for me is like, did they have to be 15? I mean, you know.
It's the new Wesley Crusher.
Yeah, right.
Shut up, Wesley.
And you know, well, we'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much what I was thinking.
All right, very good. We will be back talking about episode 4 and also The Mandalorian season 2, episode 1.
Yes.
So come on back for that. Thank you so much, Paul, as always, good sir. And farewell, everyone.